Barbenheimer, the cinematic event of 2023. One movie is about a person struggling to come to terms with how their actions affected both those around them and the world as a whole forever, and the other is Oppenheimer. I'm going to try and keep this video as spoiler-free as I can, but there might be a couple minor details as we go into the plot, so you have been warned. Barbie and Oppenheimer are special, so let's talk about them. I'm Max, and welcome to Max Does Movies. I watched Barbie first, so let's talk about it first. I know a lot of people think that watching Oppenheimer then Barbie is the correct way to go, but I didn't want to be depressed going into Barbie. Although, it turns out Barbie made me depressed anyway. I don't want anyone to interpret that the wrong way. I loved Barbie, but Jesus Christ. First, let's go into the performances. Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling were stunning. It's hard to describe what makes them so good without spoiling parts of the movie, but let's just say that both of them perfectly understood their characters, leading to some of the funniest and at times heartbreaking acting I've ever seen. Obviously, you would expect me to focus my attention on these two as they are the protagonists, but I'm not exaggerating when I say I couldn't take my eyes off of either of them for the whole movie. I also really loved America Ferrera, Ariana Greenblatt, Michael Cera, Simu Liu, Ncuti Gatwa, Emma Mackey, Issa Rae and Will Ferrell. I know I pretty much just listed the entire cast, but they were just all so good. Now, onto the plot. I think, in this regard, Barbie is perfect. Yep, perfect. The message it's pushing is so important. Don't worry, I'm not going to sit here and explain why the message is so important to our world. I'd end up sounding like Will Ferrell's character. But anyone that's seen the film will know what I mean. Despite obviously having its darker moments, Barbie is a lot of fun, and I really didn't want it to end. I was gripped to the plot from the very start, and I loved that Greta Gerwig went for a sort of Truman Showy comedy vibe for the movie. It worked so well. Speaking of Gerwig, the way she provides this story and the message is hilariously effective. From Ken's establishment of the patriarchy because he likes horses, to stereotypical Barbie's obsession with having a perfect appearance, Gerwig takes genuine problems in our world and makes them comedic gems that really push the film forward. I can't talk about Barbie without talking about the sets. They were just incredible. There was so much pink in this movie that it caused a worldwide shortage of paint in this colour, and I think that's amazing. Sometimes, for me, the best movies are the ones that make me want to live in that world, and Barbie certainly accomplished that. Everything in Barbie Land has an intentionally fake look to it that I thought was really unique. There were a lot of little details that I really appreciated, like for example the water in Barbie's pool being plastic. I swear I've said the word Barbie so many times it doesn't feel real anymore. Overall, I really loved Barbie. I think it was smart, funny, and some of the most fun I've had in a cinema in a long time. But now, let's talk about the other half of Barbenheimer. Now, this is the part where I feel like a lot of people are going to get mad at me, but I didn't love Oppenheimer. I can respect the quality of it. I know it's a masterfully crafted film, but it didn't entertain me. I want to give my list of reasons as to why I didn't enjoy it, but I want to preface it's not because Oppenheimer is a 3-hour-long character study about trauma and guilt. Normally, I'd be super interested in a film like that, especially when the protagonist is someone as intriguing as J. Robert Oppenheimer. But, for me at least, the movie failed to capitalise on that interest. My first major problem with the film is partially my fault and partially the fault of the movie itself, but I found parts of it really hard to follow. So, I'm quite bad with recognising people by their faces because of autism reasons, and I'm also not very good at remembering people's names. Now, in Oppenheimer, a character's name will get said whilst they're on screen once, and then they'll be referenced 30 more times throughout the film by just their name, or they'll just show up and we're expected to remember who this is. Normally, it would be easy enough to remember who that is, but in this movie they do it with about 40 different characters, and for me, it just got really confusing to remember who's who and who did what and who's on what side of each debate. Maybe that's my fault for not being very familiar with the members of the Manhattan Project, or maybe it's the films for not giving the audience slight hints or reminders. I don't know. It's up to each person to decide. What I do know, though, is that, like most of Nolan's films, the audio is not mixed well. I know that Nolan likes to design his films for the best cinemas with the best sound systems, but it just makes it a pain for regular viewers. I've really struggled to understand half of Robert Downey Jr.'s dialogue, which made it even more difficult to follow. I'm a bit sick of giving criticisms at this point, so let's talk about the positive aspects of Oppenheimer. Firstly, I think every performance here was jaw-dropping. Cillian Murphy gave a phenomenal performance that was engaging and awe-inspiring, and he was greatly supported by Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr. and so many more. Of course, the part of the movie that everyone was anticipating was the dropping of the nuclear bomb, and I have to say, this was done so well. The silence that is broken only by Cillian Murphy's breathing whilst the bomb is dropping created tension unlike anything else I've seen. It was chilling. There's a quote from Alfred Hitchcock that I think works quite well here. He said, There is no terror in the bang, only in the anticipation of it. This idea is demonstrated beautifully in Oppenheimer, and the fact the crew behind it managed to replicate a nuclear explosion using only practical effects is stunning. I also think some of the cinematography was really nice. There were some beautiful shots. I know this doesn't come under cinematography, but I did like the switching between colour and black and white to illustrate which scenes are subjective and which are objective. Overall, I think that both Barbie and Oppenheimer are incredibly unique movies that deserve all the attention they've been getting. I think the whole Barbenheimer craze helped both films massively, as it was practically just free marketing for them, which is vital considering the strikes mean the stars can no longer promote them. That sounded a bit like I'm against the strikes. I'm not, don't worry. Although I didn't enjoy Oppenheimer very much, I can certainly see why it is getting so much praise, and I don't think it's a bad movie by any means. However, I did prefer Barbie, which I didn't expect at all. Let me know what you thought of the films in the comments, and remember to subscribe. Bye!